Hello, дорогие друзья. I will speak in English. Today, I would like to copy the previous text in Russian so you can see and compare two versions on Hellenism of the 21st century. Today's Hellenism is for non-military battles of 1999% that grabbed power and aim this power against the digital slavery. Digital slavery is made for the rest of the people. 1% must control the 99% of the population in any country. So I would like to revive the old good Hellenism in the digital era right now and later on. So let's start. My friend will help us to read it in English.
The project, The Russian Dilemma, Stalin-Centrism or Digital Hellenism. Introduction to the topic. The project is designed for the participation of believers in Hellenism of the 21st century in the post-Soviet space. Since ancient Greece, Hellenism has always been against centrism, but it has still evolved as some historical background for dictatorships of 1% of the population over the rest of 99%. Recently, de-Globalization has created interest in non-Centrism as an anti-Stalinist autocratic trend in today's Russia. In old times Russia, the local Hellenism was in the foundations of the Great Novgorod Republic with its nationwide self-governmental Vesh, a sort of confederation of modern NGOs with the right for free speech in public. Its slogan and unseparated practice easily remove nominees as domestic rulers appointed by the centrist Kiev governors with words, incorrectly managed the power for a year. So go away back to the rest of the people. This was a constant rulership from 1136 to 1478. In the period of its disintegration and later on, the Novgorod land developed as an autonomous Russian state with republican forms of government until 1708. Many examples in other countries have shown that the genetic memory of non-centrism does not disappear even after thousands of years. The modern Pashtuns Taliban governing has shown preservation of core principles of Hellenism from the ancient Greco-Bactrian Tsardom even after the departure of the troops of Alexander the Great from there. That genetic memory has formed the code of honor. Pashtun Valai has a copy of Hellenism that has been constantly suppressing corruption and all kinds of treachery among the Pashtuns up to date. Conversely, the non-Pashtuns of the 21st century, alas, have betrayal, bribery, and deception as norms of life, for they were influenced by other moral values that were quite opposed to Hellenism. Hellenism in the 21st century is necessary for non-military battles of 99% of the population against the present-day digital slavery that is practiced by 1% of the ruling centrists. Non-military forms of protest and struggle within 99% are directed against both the guards and servants of the elites that are close to 1% and form so-called the new mobsters, like criminal gangs of New York or Chicago in the 1930s. New mobsters hope to get through the service to ruling elites to push them away and become elites themselves. That new mobsters of the 21st century are more commonly referred to as the precariat. It's a class of socially unsettled people who don't have a full guarantee of employment, and separated even from self-employment as IT workers on higher-end, remotely done businesses. The protests of both the servants of the elites and the already digitized mobsters are influenced by the volume of feeding and effectiveness of repression from above by centrist rulers as bosses. The growth of enlightenment and the ability to apply ITAI in the 21st century among non-centrists reinforces their desire to create independent city-states. Despite the fact that the struggle for complementary foods from the authorities, including informational meals, leads to fault lines within the centrists as the 1% percenter superiors. In particular, The power petrocrats of the Russian Federation have less and less money for freebies as a means of bribing the elites plus their mobsters. And the digitalocrats, on the contrary, have more digital currency and bitcoins for complementary foods. As long as there is a balance in giving away freebies like some complementary foods, there are no coups among elites. People inside these 99% with their survival and mini victories take place within narrow status clans with mentality of possessors of great power, heritage and corresponding governing structures and present-day frameworks. Absence of anti-war movements in Russia serves as a prevention of military coups from above. Today's centrists teach the 99% masses to hate any military juntas. In the USSR Russia, Pseudo-Brezhnev's peacefulness was expressed in empty words. If you want peace, prepare for peace. It was ruined, for example, in Afghanistan and more than 100 other hotspots of the planet. This is not Hellenism, as we see as a paved path to post-Russian confederations. From the 1990s to the 2000s, there were direct aggressions of the petrocrats, the nouveau riche who unlawfully grabbed power in the USSR Russia CIS with support of huge inflows of petrodollars against former industrial red directors as ex-communists without political military power. Later on, these hunters for communists merged with the Chekists and ex-Soviet military in the so-called military political corporate capitalism for 1993-2000. By the end of the 1990s, the attacks of that petrocracy around the main Chekist Yevgeny Primakov, for example, gave way to counterattacks to the young digitalocracy that concentrated around Anatoly Chauba and his friendly bankers as new digitalocrats. It was a soap bubble of the seven bankers mobsters. That frail structure collapsed when some huge properties were seized by a new digitalocracy. They came from ranks and files of the special services, even from their loyal petrocrats, like Khodorkovsky, who lost more than $55 billion. That is why by the 2020s, the digitalocrats almost removed the temporary fellow travelers, petrocrats, first in the Donbass, and later in all other post-Soviet space, in particular, in Kazakhstan. On March 19, 2023, there could be seen a quicker transit of power from petrocracy under former President Nazarbayev's clannish circles to digitalocracy under President Tokayev with his curators from the PRC. There is much evidence of the Kremlin's course towards the digitized reincarnation of the USSR, as it is happening in the PRC with a new digitalized course to the renewed Chinese communism. Under such circumstances, today's Kremlin's rejection of all agreements and obligations from the times of détente and perestroika seems quite logical. The influence of law and order in Stalin's style is becoming more noticeable in and outside the Russian Federation. New law and order have got lies and repressions as cornerstones of legitimacy of Putin's regime. The dilemma for Russia is as follows. To choose between the old and good Stalin-centrism and non-Centrism for those who love disunity as in the US dollar, e pluribus unum. The latter is reflected in one of poems by the Russian Jewish emigre called As Igor Guberman, I came to a sad opinion. From observations of many years, all bastards are prone to unity, and all decent people don't. A similar depression has been running through all books by the writer Dmitry Glukhovsky for a long time. He fantasized in the novel Metro 2033, he wrote it in 2005, that after the nuclear war, people live in city-states at various stations in the subway tunnels, and they are at constant wars with each other. Since then, such cultural elites have been fanning the fire of war in speeches from the Kremlin. And such a pessimistic youth subculture is being systematically created in the Russian Federation. Yes, and all over the world, given the translation of Glukhovsky's book into 40 languages. Not surprisingly, First military maneuvers by small forces in 2018-2022 and later attacks in the format of the Special Military Operation in Ukraine 2022-2023 were supported with the subsequent mass mobilization of not only among young people, but also among elderly reservists. Here they are, the fruits of not historical, but fantastic pessimism of today's anti-autocrats. The project, Russian Dilemma, serves to promote the optimistic culture of digital Hellenism here and now. It is to create empathy or love in future city-states, to which all ages are submissive.
Well, I would like to finish this report with promise to continue my speeches in English and in Russian. So keep looking for new reports of mine. Bye bye then.